Hi, do you speak English?
Well, no, what if I was to say no? An implication of cognizance shrouded in denial. A pretty poser of a paradox indeed.
I gave him the look I'd perfected when I was 12 and was going to be the greatest hypnotist of all time. It was a killer.
Are you attempting to hypnotize me, or is it the constipation you're suffering?
I was a little out of practice. Have you seen Professor Pegram?
No, he's packed up and gone.
Do you happen to know where?
Back in England, I suppose.
Did you happen to see a red sports car down on the road?
I caught a glimpse of a flash of red on the hill and heard the racket. Sure, it was an awful noise. A sports car, you say?
A Ferrari, to be exact.
A racing car? And what was it doing here? The poor fella must have been lost.
What can you tell me about the castle?
Not much, I'm sorry to say. Most of its history is long forgotten. Ah, but if these old stones could only speak, what stories they'd tell. Stories to make your toes curl and your blood run cold. You know, this castle is said to be over 600 years old.
The driver of the Ferrari was involved in an accident.
Is that so?
Yeah, he knocked somebody down outside the bar.
What an idiot! How could a thing like that happen?
He was traveling too fast.
So fast, he ran right under the car?
I mean, the car was traveling too fast.
But you'd have thought the idiot could have heard it coming.
Maybe you know the guy who was hit by the Ferrari. His name is Sean Fitzgerald.
Oh, I know him all right. That's me nephew, the idiot responsible for the stacking of my hay cart. Was he killed by the car?
Oh, no, but he has been abducted.
Well, that's a relief now.
Aren't you going to look for your nephew?
What for? From what you say, it's too late.
Well, you could report the matter to the police.
Better not. Besides, what could they do?
Well, they could mount a search.
They have only the one bicycle between them. In a question of superior acceleration, I put me money on the Ferrari.
I think you ought to know exactly what Sean has gotten himself into.
I'm not sure I want to know.
But you're his uncle, his own flesh and blood.
You're right, but what can I do? If I'm not here to guard it, some idiot might try to climb the haystack. What a moral dilemma. Stay here and guard this potentially lethal agricultural construction, or to go off in search of the prodigal nephew, the very man responsible for said hazard? It'll need some thinking about.
Why, there's no problem.
You're right. Why didn't I think of it before? We'll demolish the haystack.
You don't have to demolish the haystack to go look for Sean. I'll stay here in your place and warn anyone who's silly enough to climb it.
Marvellous! I think I should start me inquiries in the bar.
He strode off in the direction of McDevitt's bar, leaving me to contemplate the stack of hay. The stack of hay stopped, short of the top of the wall. Even if I stretched as far as I could, the wall was out of reach. What I needed was a slice or two of Alice's Wonderland. I inserted the end of the lifting key in the mortarless crack and gave it a firm shove. It remained lodged in the wall, jutting out to form a step. The rope by which the goat was tethered had become tangled on the old plowshare. As I dipped my fingers into the soft white powder, I realized what it was. Plaster of Paris. I'd used it in kindergarten to make casts of animal paw prints. I tried in vain to move the panel. I placed my fingers and thumb into the holes in the wall. Nothing happened. The statue was too heavy to lift. It overbalanced into the sand. As I swung the stone upright, I noticed it had left a pattern of holes in the sand. I placed my fingers in the 5 impressions left by the fallen stone. It was weird. They fit perfectly. I reached into the sack, but it was empty. I reached into the sack, but it was empty. It was a rectangle of toweling printed with the words, "Nagopoleon stout builds body." It was a handful of plaster left in the castle by Pegram's archaeology team. I sprinkled the plaster on the sand until the holes were filled. The faucet creaked, coughed, and spewed out a stream of rusty-colored water. I held the towel under the faucet and soaked it with water. It was a rectangle of toweling printed with the words, "Nagopoleon stout builds body." The towel was soaked through with water. The trickle of water was quickly absorbed by the plaster. I eased the solid piece of plaster from the sand. Underneath, it had formed a perfect copy of the statue. The hardened plaster cast fitted snugly into the 5 matching sockets. There was a soft thud, then silence.